This begins, or rather pretty much ends, the second month of requests here in 2018. So, what are we playing that was requested to start this month out? Well, it's on my favorite console ever. I mean Metroid Prime! Definitely not that other thing. Ever. Metroid Prime, considered by many to be an absolutely perfect 10 out of 10 best game of all time. I'm not exaggerating, that sentiment appears to be all over the internet. Are they right? Well, not to spoil anything, but I'm not going to tell you my thoughts yet. What did I just say? I'm not spoiling anything. This was my first foray into the Metroid series. Yes, despite this game being absolutely iconic, to the point where the attacks have provided names for gaming shows and the suit makes her recognizable to even those who don't game, I had never played a single game in the series. What a place to start. I doubt anyone needs a backstory though, so let's only provide what the game gives us to start things off with. Okay, go! Yeah, the game gives you nothing to go on. If you didn't know anything about the series, you'd never even know this character's name was Samus throughout the game. First impressions were mixed as well. In addition to not explaining anything for those who aren't instantly familiar with the series, you move and look with the same control stick. This is a control style that isn't used by other games for a reason. It's difficult to control, frustrating, and kind of unwieldy. Jumping in first person is also obnoxious. This is always true of every game in which you have to jump in first person. It's not a good style or mechanic, and despite insistence that I would get used to it, by the end of the game it was still never a good thing. The other opening issue is the scanning mechanic and trial and error. The Metroid series is all about discovery and unlocking new ways to explore the map. This means that those who have already played the game are more familiar with where they're going than in the original Legend of Zelda. However, for those of us who are brand new to the game, there's a big habit of being lost. I actually died in the tutorial level because I got turned around and completely lost due to the first-person camera and hallways that looked exactly the same. The scanning is also how major storyline, world development, and enemy weaknesses are conveyed to the player. This is interesting, but with any large enemy, such as a boss, the scan visor is highly unreliable, going so far as to force you to tank multiple hits from the boss just to get the scan in so you can finally fight it. What I mind much more, however, is the dissociative pacing. Whenever you scan something, you completely stop, stand still, and a bar fills until you can read a text document. You then read it, and then continue with the gameplay. Gameplay is action and puzzle solving. Scanning and reading is slow and methodical. The two are at complete odds with each other. This may not sound like a huge complaint, but it's a bigger problem because of what the game instantly does right from the outset. Investment, world building, and immersion. Oh man, I can't remember the last time that I felt such a part of the story that was unfolding in front of me. Even with my chat talking to me the whole time and the real world constantly trying to get my attention, I always felt like I was physically in the world that the game was putting together. Even little details that I wouldn't have thought of add to the effect. When flashes of light go off, you can see Samus's eyes, your eyes blinking back at you in the visor glare for just that instant. Clouds of vapor fog up your face mask, obscuring your vision. Every action feels like yours. The world itself is beautiful. There's some areas that have the difficulties of too much repeated architecture, but usually each room is unique and distinct, so you can tell where you are and where you're going. Even two sides of the same map can look completely different. This is the ice area from one side, and this is the same area of map on the other side. It's so different. The music is beautiful, ranging from curious and calm to tense and blood pumping, with perfect match to the area and situation you find yourself in. Now, it isn't good enough music on its own that I would play it on my own time without the game. It's not made for that. It exists to help fill out the world around you, helping to build an atmosphere as much as any of the map itself does. Even for as much as I complained about how much the incessant scanning and reading kills the game flow and immersion, the story that it slowly reveals is deep and complex. You can find information everywhere left behind by the space pirates. Shout out to the last evening's gaming episode, detailing their weapons, plans for the future, failings, and even tiny little things that don't matter, like their orders to the grunt workers to go to certain places. If you want a game that will give you atmosphere and story that can drag you into a whole different world, this definitely delivers. The motions and interactions were also intuitive. It didn't take me long to get used to how I moved around enemies, locking on and shooting while moving. Everything just made sense. Except for strafing, which the game refused to do reliably. It says the control is lock on, hold left or right, and tap B. Instead, the game really liked to jump into the air and slowly float to the side. Why? Couldn't tell ya. I'll do the same actions with the same inputs twice in a row, and sometimes I'd strafe, and most of the time I wouldn't. This made bosses throughout the game infuriating, as it rendered them unable to be dodged. I guess saying that means it's time to move past the intro level and talk about the rest of the gameplay.
And I was having fun because I could rapid tap like a boss. Wait, what do you mean here comes the fun part?
As I said earlier, you are on a planet. Explore the planet. 4 reasons. Go to this place to unlock this thing, to explore this place, to get to this new area, to upgrade this so you can explore this easier. Over and over and over, with a constantly expanding map and area of new things to look at and search for. And the number of upgrades in this game is insane! Morph Ball, Jump Boots, 17 missile expansions, 14 energy tanks, Boost Ball, Wave Beam, Super Missile, Thermal Visor, Spider Ball, Wave Buster, Ice Beam, Gravity Suit, Power Bomb, 5 expansions for said Power Bomb, Grapple Beam, X-Ray Visor, Ice Spreader, Plasma Beam, Flamethrower, Phazon Suit, and 12 Chozo artifacts. Oh boy, that's a lot of upgrading to be done. Well, no better time than now to get started, and that is the problem with trying to review this game. There's no real story that I can properly convey to you, and the connecting line between your upgrades is as simple as, you found this, now you can get here. Go there to get that, which will let you get somewhere else, until the end of the game. Now, don't take this as my saying this is a bad thing. The exploration is very fun. I loved going to an area where I'd already been and discovering whole new things I hadn't even suspected could be there, or even better, finally getting an upgrade that suddenly helps you understand how you can move through a room in a new way to find something secret where you've already been. Now, that's not to say that all exploration is good exploration. This game seems to have it out for the visually impaired. To begin with, it's incredibly dark. When I couldn't find my way forwards in the introductory level, it's because I could not see there was a hallway to my side. It was so dark down the hallway, it looked like a physical wall. Throughout the game, I just wanted to crank up the brightness on my TV, and I'm poor. I play on a tiny little screen that I found for $30 at Goodwill during one of my former roommates and my weekend excursions there. Some details and areas were difficult to make out despite being bright, simply because I wasn't playing on a big, nice TV. Then you add in the special visors. There are 4 visors in the game, and you start out with combat and scan. In these 2, the world looks normal, but then there's the thermal visor. Everything is in purples, reds, and darkness. It can make some things easier to see, but it's actually very hard to look at whatsoever. Not as difficult as looking at X-ray vision is, though. Everything goes into grayscale with brilliant white all around you. Looking at this visor actively gave me a headache every time I needed it for a battle. I understand what they were going for. An added exploration element within the maps that was hidden to your own eyes. And that does work. It's just not friendly to those of us with vision issues. Another area where I can understand why they made decisions and design choices they did, yet they still don't work very well, is the train of exploration itself. Now remember, I've already said that I enjoyed the exploring. Going back to places that you'd already been to figure out how the different puzzle pieces mesh together with the upgrades that you hadn't realized with it being your first time through the game in order to hide something from you in almost plain sight. It almost always worked. Almost always. There is one type of puzzle that is the absolute nadir of design and challenge. It's the same concept, but in two forms. You must find the hidden thing and interact with it to continue. Either you must turn on your heat visor, find the glowing double circle, and shoot it, or find the 4 glowing circles around the room and look at them really hard for a few moments. These aren't puzzles. They are time wasters, designed to do nothing but waste your time and elongate your play hours. These aren't my biggest issue with the exploration, however. My biggest issue is with the guidance and locations of advancements. I want to paint you a picture. A picture of a sprawling landscape over many different types of terrain, behind which you know amazing secrets will lie for you to finally uncover them through your wit, skill, and potent brilliance. You scurry around the rooms. You can see that 13th missile upgrade is just behind a grate. You're scanning the room with your visors, trying to determine how to get there when a notification pops up. It takes up a sizable chunk of your usable screen and makes it hard to see around. Energy fluctuations have been picked up on your scanners in a different sector. Press Z to see that sector on your map. Well, I'm kind of busy looking for how to get at these missiles, but thanks anyway. Give me a bit. Instead, the message hangs on your screen for several long seconds and continues to hang there. And then it shrinks to a smaller message telling you to press Z. Have you pressed Z yet? Hey, you don't seem to know where you're going because you're not there yet, so please press Z and work on getting there. Yes, you're on your way there, but you're not there yet, so please press Z! Press Z and go through this game we've made! There's no time for you to have fun and explore things! Now I will again reiterate, I understand why this was implemented into the game. If it didn't have anything and you were just left wandering this immense map all on your own without any idea where you were potentially going, and with the way things are laid out, it would be unbelievably obnoxious and frustrating, and you would give up long before you'd ever finish the game out of boredom. But this little message never failed to arrive at the wrong time. I would be exploring an area that I'd remembered from before with the cool new upgrade I'd just gotten. I'm having the most fun I've had in the game and loving every minute of it. And then the game needs to chime in, yelling at me for not going to find the source of gravity disruptions. I tap Z to dismiss the message, back out of the map that forcibly puts me into, and resume trying to solve this puzzle that I can see a new energy tank just on the other side of. It's tense. I'm holding my breath as the timer ticks down before lava flows back into the tiny chamber that I'm navigating towards the goal. And again, the game pipes up. I notice you haven't found the gravity disruption yet. Go there! For a game so heavily based on exploration and discovery, I felt like it was actively discouraging me from exploring. You couldn't have fun and find things without the game constantly shouting at you that you weren't where you were supposed to be by now. There was also where those things were. Yes, I don't want a linear experience for exploration, but toward the last third of the game it got so obnoxious. Go to this corner of the map to find one room and get its upgrade. Now backtrack through every place you've already been where there's nothing new you can discover, and you've already carefully examined and scanned everything at least twice, to the opposite side of the map so you can find one new room and get that upgrade. Now run back to the corner of the map you started this example in, through still more rooms with nothing new to do in them, and no reason to linger so that you can find even more new rooms. You see what I'm getting at? Expansive worlds are fun. Familiarity with my environments is fun. Running through rooms I know are empty over and over for huge chunks of time just to get one or more hidden rooms has two effects. Firstly, it makes me beg for a fast travel system because this is boring, pointless, and another example of the game padding for more time. More importantly, it has a horrible effect on rooms where there might still be something to discover. I've run through this room 6 dozen times by now. I have explored it over and over. Even if I actually haven't, it feels like I have. So I never bother to properly go back and explore it again once I have new ways of interacting with the world. Because I've been there so many times it feels pointless and like yet another waste of my time. And I'll be if that room wastes any more of my time than it takes me to jump through it however many times I've gone through. I missed the upgrade for the ice gun, despite it being one of the easier upgrades in the game to find apparently, simply because it was in a room I felt I'd already explored inside and out, and ran through like this several dozen times. Before you point the finger at me for this, realize that is a direct effect of the design choices within the game. If you're playing the game blind, without a walkthrough, prior experience, or stream viewers telling you that something is there, this is what is going to happen to the vast majority of players. So now we enter the homestretch. The part of the game that those familiar with Metroid Prime entered this video fully expecting me to complain about, the ending. The game closes with a giant fetch quest for 12 extra hidden Chozo artifacts. You receive vague hints on where each one is, but you must find all 12 before you can complete the game. It's usually what's complained about by players, as a forced fetch quest is annoying. However, I raise you all a consideration. What is the difference between these 12 artifacts and the rest of the game? All of Metroid Prime is a forced fetch quest. Go here, get this upgrade. Now go there, get this upgrade. Over and over and over. I actually overall enjoyed the hunt for the artifacts. Because for once in the game, I could explore. I could use my own ideas and ingenuity to find what I was looking for. While there were hints about each that told me exactly what room to look in, I still had to get to that room and find it on my own. There was no press the Z button, artifacts located. There was only me, a vague hint, and a stubborn room that did not want to give up its secrets. No, what annoyed me beyond belief at the end of the game was the press the Z button, you're supposed to be turning in 12 Chozo artifacts prompt. Yes, game, I know what I'm doing. I'm following the hints to find the artifact. Why haven't you turned in the artifacts? Press Z! I know that it sounds like I criticize the game a lot, and okay, I guess I did. But I do that out of care. A thing's ability to hold up to criticism is the true testament of its quality. If we can look it in the eye and see everything wrong with it, analyze why it could be better, and still want it, then it is truly something worth playing. Obviously, the parts that are done excellently shouldn't be ignored either, such as this game's world building, atmosphere, and immersion that I brought up earlier. But that still doesn't change that the game has flaws, significant ones. It's far from a perfect 10 out of 10 game, or best game of all time. It's a 7.5. It's strong, but with significant and meaningful flaws. And a 7 is still a very good score. Anyone who says otherwise needs to go out, learn how an actual rating out of 10 scale works in the real world, and go put some pressure and blame on GameStop and its ilk for devaluing game quality. But with everything I said in these later paragraphs, I simply cannot consider the game to be rated higher than that. Metroid Prime was a wonderful experience, and is easily the best game that I will review in all of April. It reminded me of being a kid again and exploring a big, scary world where I never knew what I was going to find out in the woods. Just even better because I had a massive laser strapped to my arm. I would definitely suggest checking this game out and playing it if you never have, and giving it another go if you already have played it. Lots of fun, excellent game. Just don't lie to yourself and pretend that it's perfect, guys.